Hey, what's up everyone? It's Chris, back with another book YouTube video. This is Cookie. Cookie is gonna be my handy dandy little person on the sideline today because Muffler is hiding under my coffee table and decides that he does not like the windowsill today, and that's okay. I think our maintenance people driving by in the golf cart scared him, and he hasn't been over there since. So we have Cookie today. Cookie is 10 years old. We love her. Cookie, what are we up to today? She could care less what we are up to today. Excellent. Today, I'm gonna go over some books that have exceeded my expectations when it comes to reading, that I'd picked up or was gifted or that I was looking forward to and just broke the bar on how much I enjoyed them. And then on the other side, I have a couple of books that I was really interested in reading, just to be kind of let down and disappointed by the plot, or just kind of lost by maybe my own miscomprehension or lack thereof comprehension when it comes to the story. So let's get into it. Toodles. In the box. Lovely. She's probably not going to move this whole video. Let's start with books that exceeded my expectation. Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. Many of you, I'm sure, have heard of it. Kind of your cozy adventure, settling down, D&D style fantasy. It was good. When I picked up book 2, I was like, well, it's book 2, it's the prequel. I'm not going to get my hopes up too high, but I was really excited to read it. So, Bookshops and Bone Dust, also by Travis Baldree. Second book he's written, phenomenal. Exceeded my expectations tenfold. If you haven't read it, if you haven't read any of these books, this video is going to have a little bit more spoilers. Spoiler warning! Okay, so Fern is my favorite character, and I cannot wait to read book 3 and get more out of Fern. I loved Fern as much as I love Viv. Fern is just stellar. The skeletons, hilarious and great comedic relief. Overall, phenomenal book. Exceeded my expectations. Little bigger, if you're not into like big daunting books. Loved this book so much, and I would go back and read it again. Yeah. Next up, we have another one of my favorite authors. Most of these are going to be my favorite authors, so just so you know. Andrew Joseph White is a transgender author. This is his young adult novel, Hell That Follows Us. Right? Yeah, Hell Followed With Us. My bad. It goes and follows along a trans individual basically turning into an angelic monster because they were stuck in pretty much like a religious cult. And as a fellow trans individual, I got so much more reading this than I have other trans novels. I was so happy to see just trans rage depicted in a way. I'm not very good at articulating how I feel about this book. I felt seen. My rage that I feel from when I was a teenager feels seen in this. I've read every other young adult novel that Andrew Joseph White has come out with after I've read this. I read Spirit That Bears Its Teeth, I've read Compound Fracture, and I now own Andrew Joseph White's adult trans novel, You Weren't Meant to Be Human. I haven't read it. The goal is to read it this year. I am very, very excited to read it. There are heavy themes here. If you have any sort of religious trauma, and that's something you can't handle, body gore, these are large trigger warnings in this. But if you think you can get through all of that, I think this book is so worth it. It's very interesting. I've had other friends read it. It's a phenomenal read. Yeah. Oh gosh. I just have so many big feelings about it. And honestly, I don't think I picked up on all the nuances on it, to be completely honest. I think that if I went back and read it again, I would still find things that I didn't really pick up on the first time I read. There were so many little things going on, and it's just a great book. And the care that was taken into writing this book shows. It's absolutely stunning. Sorry, there was someone outside. So, great book, larger book. Really, I do recommend it. There is a lot of religious trauma. There is a lot of gore. There is a lot of just dysphoric feelings, rage, what feels like backstabbing. I was really thrown through the loop. I cried. I was mad. I was happy. The book threw me through 1,000 different emotions that I didn't think that this book was going to throw me through. So, exceeding my expectations a lot. Really, really it did. So, would anyone like to see my youngest son? Because apparently he's eating morsels off the ground right now. 1 second. Let me show you Link. Here's my chunky little boy. This is Link. He's my baby cat. He's, I think, two this year. Hi. I love cats. Moving on. Next we have what we've seen in the last video. This is Midnight Timetable by Bora Chung. The multiple ghost stories that all connect in the end. That is translated from Korean to English. Yes, I do know this time. Great read. I think this one exceeded my expectations, mainly because I didn't have any expectations going into it. So when I read it, my friend literally just gave it to me, and I was like, oh, cool, great Christmas gift. I'm super interested to see what this is about. And then because I went into it with absolutely zero expectations, it exceeded my expectations, because it was just great. So, I mean, I talked about this in my last video. It's a good read. It's a fun read, especially if you're into, like, short stories. And then it feels fun because it feels like a complete book because it all ties together in the end. So, phenomenal read. Link, no! I can't even do anything about this. I'm getting distracted, I'm so sorry. My cat has decided that right now is the time to have zoomies. This next book is from one of my all-time favorite authors, and it's funny because then 2 of her books ended up in my I overhyped them. This one actually was fun because there's a specific scene in this book that had me so messed up that I was crying because it scared the shit out of me. And then that same night, I had a dream about this scene and woke up in a panic. And it was just one scene. Like, the whole story is not... That's a lie. The whole story is pretty dark. So this is Hollow Places by T. Kingfisher, also known as Ursula Vernon. You're going to hear me talk about this author a lot. I adore this author. I just really love the majority of what they write. And I've run into some stuff that I'm kind of like, okay on. But still one of my all-time favorite authors currently. The Hollow Places is from the perspective of this woman who's just gotten a divorce, and she goes and lives with her uncle and stays in his, like, eccentric curiosity shop. And there's this, like, alternative cafe boy next door, and yada yada yada. Basically, they come across the hole in the shop that leads into, like, a concrete cell. Almost. They find a door, they open it, someone's dead. Here comes the adventure. They find another door, they open it. And they come into places that pretty much look like the cover of the book. There's these sandy beaches, and there's a bunch of these, like, bunker doors. And they're in, like, an space in between. This book is a fever dream to me because I couldn't even begin to describe all of the things that happened in this book in detail, because it really, you gotta read it. If you're into, like, spooky suspense, there's not, like, a really big monster element in this, but it's just really good suspense and phenomenal descriptors on, like, just the surrounding areas and how it feels just really unsettling. So, if you get a chance, this one is just so good. And it was really funny because I read this one and then instantly went into the next book that did not exceed my expectations. So, and I think part of the reason is because I read this one first. If I would have read this one second, I feel like my next book maybe would have been in a better pile of light. But this one, like, really got me really good. So, there's that. Let's move on to books that didn't do what I hoped they'd do. Maybe I overhyped them. Maybe the internet overhyped them. Here we are again. T. Kingfisher, my love. I actually had to swap to audiobook to get through this book. This is The Twisted Ones, which is, little did I do the research, I should have read, I believe it's White People, The White People, right? Yeah, The White People, published in 1904. This is a spin-off of that novel. I don't know anything about that book. I should have gone into this book knowing something about this book, because I could not get through this book. It was so slow. And the horror element just kind of fell flat for me personally. So, I don't know. Was it a good book? Yeah, it was a good book by the end of it. It was just a slog to get through. That I literally had to swap over to audiobook and listen to the rest of it. I made it like halfway through, and then I was like, I can't keep doing this. And then I sat and I was doing stuff, and I listened to an audiobook, and I got a little more into it. I was like, oh, whoa, what the heck's going on? Like, there's this weird civilization in the forest, and it's like a time travel thing, and there's the weird-faced rocks. This could have been a lack of comprehension. This could have been a lack of context for me not reading The White People. So, I'm not sure what's going on. I had a friend of mine read The White People or listen to it or whatever, and then also read this, and she said it was really good. So I think this might have just been a skill issue. A reading comprehension skill issue. And, sometimes that's just what happens. Yeah, that's, it fell flat, and that's okay. Okay. I am really into apocalypse books. I'm really into post-apocalypse books. I'm really into just like that kind of thing. I quit reading a little bit recently just because of the state of the world. Don't you know? So this is Adrienne Marie Brown. I can read. Grievers. It looked interesting. I read the back of it. Basically, you are given the daughter of Patient Zero, and Patient Zero, they don't even know it's Patient Zero until almost the end of the book, and then they show up and they're like, where the fuck is your mom? And she's like, dead, bro. Spoilers, she dead. This took me, for how small the book is, took me way too long to get through. Can you two goofballs? He's playing in a paper bag. It took me way too long to get through this book for what it was. I own book 2. I haven't read book 2 because I was not thrilled with book 1 to the point that I just never read book 2, and book 3 has recently come out. Again, could be a lack of comprehension, but even then, like, I felt like I gathered the book well. There is kind of an interesting magic element. It is like an LGBTQ book. I don't know why. Like, the main character is just really isolated, very isolated to an extent. And then it never felt like the book ever picked up. And so I never went into book 2. I think I should go into book 2 just to give it a go. Maybe lower my expectations a little bit so that I can enjoy it. Because I feel like sometimes I do that to myself where I get really, really excited about a book and then I goof really hard because then I get too excited about it and then it ends up kind of being a miss for me. This might have been one of those times. So I will be reading book 2 because I own it, and I will probably read book 3 because I've already started it. Unless book 2 just ends up being an atrocity, then maybe I won't. We'll get to that. So, interesting concept. I just feel like it missed the mark for me. Shit happens. This book pissed me off. Massive spoilers if you want to read this. This is Don't Let the Forest In by C.G. Drews. This book, if you've seen this book, if you're a queer individual and you went, man, I want to read this book, and you want to read this book, go do it. Skip this section of the video because I am about to just air this out. This book pissed me off. A lot. This book gives you... I'm serious, if you don't want spoilers, I'm gonna spoil this whole book. So if you don't want spoilers, you move on. This is picture perfect kill your gaze. And I can't stand when a book does that. Kill your gaze, kill your trans, kill your everything. Unreliable narrator, unreliable co-narrator. I can tell you everything that happened in the book. I can't tell you why. I hate when I can tell you what's going on in a book, but I can't tell you why it's happening in the book. What the purpose is. I can't tell you if you can do an unreliable narrator the right way, but this is all unreliable narrators. Every single person that speaks is an unreliable person. And I couldn't stand that because by the time I got to the end of the book, I didn't know what was real, what was not real, and it just ended with a kill your gaze kind of situation. And I was like, did this actually happen though? Or are they gonna go find these bodies? Or did this never happen and the main character's actually just still alive? Or is the main character still dying? Or it didn't work. It truly, truly did not work. I was super excited about it. And I'm serious. I got like 3/4 of the way through it. I was still invested. The ending is truly what ruins this book. Because the descriptors, the author's writing is good. It's very good. I would go through and read this author's other writing just because their descriptors are good. There's a lot of analogies. There's a lot of just good descriptions of like just the monsters and the surrounding areas. It really fell flat because of the ending, and it sucks that it fell flat. I don't know if everyone got that from this. I've kind of looked a little bit about book reviews on this, and a couple of people have come to the same conclusions. I don't know. It wasn't for me. I would implore you to make your own opinions, of course. Okay, last but not least, another T. Kingfisher book. I'm on a book buying ban, and I broke my book buying ban literally to buy this book. And then it was a miss for me, which was a little disappointing. Was it a huge miss? No. Did I put too high expectations into it? Absolutely I did. This is 9 Goblins by T. Kingfisher. Was this book fun? Absolutely it was. Was the book entertaining? Absolutely. Would I recommend you read this book? Yes. Yes, I would. The only problem I had was a quarter to half of the book just felt like we weren't doing anything. And then we get to a point where you're introduced to another narrator / another character, and I was more invested in his storyline than the literal goblins that are supposed to be the main characters in the book. And if I am more invested in a side character than the main characters, there's a little bit of a problem. It felt like we were given the plot halfway through the book, where it was like, here's like the plot, but then it's like, here's the plot. The actual plot. We've been hiding it from you the whole time. And there was just like a convenience of like keeping a character alive and then never saying anything about that character and then bringing him back just felt convenient, like an escape for whatever. And I was like, I wish they wouldn't have done that because I felt like there was some justice to be done there, but it is how it is. The ending was very open-ended. It was very much like, this could change things, or it could not, and then it just kind of ended. And I was like, I wish you wouldn't have done that. I understand why you've done it, because you're leaving it open to interpretation for what could happen in this storyline. I'd love to see her write more into this world, because the world that's built, I think, would be really fun to explore. But I just felt like the open-endedness with zero context and zero anything else around it, I was like, ugh, unless you intend on writing more in this series, or more than just this book, I think it was kind of a rough way to end it. But that's just me. That's just my opinion. I still had a fun time with it. I still thought, that the characters were quirky. I did like the side characters. I did like the overall, like, big plot, not the first plot. I did like the plot that they handed us, because it was very, like, urgent. Didn't matter what was going on, didn't matter the overarching plot. Like, this was more important in the moment, and I was like, okay, that's cool. But overall, like, I rated this one like 3.5 stars, or like 3, I think I would rate it 3 stars, which isn't bad. I just think I hyped myself up too much for it, because I had seen T. Kingfisher post about it on Blue Sky, and I was like, oh my god, that's right up my alley. I love D&D style stuff. I like the goblin dynamic. I thought it was going to be a little more fun, a little more campy. It wasn't. Halfway through the book, all of a sudden, the plot completely changed to this, like, really weird horror plot that it just felt kind of out of place, unfortunately. I don't know. It was still good. I would recommend me reading it, because maybe I just missed the mark on it, like, mentally, myself. I don't know. But that's what I have. So, those were books that exceeded my expectations and books that didn't. And I mean, at the end of the day, these are all my opinions, by the way. Like, if you liked any of these books, like, specifically in reference to Don't Let the Forest In, if you liked it, great, I'm so happy. It just wasn't for me. And, like, everyone's opinions vary, and that's okay. And maybe I interpreted it different than everybody else. That's also okay. And if you hated some of the books that I liked, that's also okay. I also want to make a disclaimer that any of these books that I kind of shit talk a little bit, or am not the biggest fan of, is not meant for the author or any of the author's friends to be watching these kinds of things. So, this is a reader's base. Just so we're aware. That's all. Cookie's been cleaning and crinkling, and I just scared her. My bad. Here, let's get a good Toodles shot. Toodles! Here we go. Toodles! Hi! Okay, thank you for making it to the end of this video. I'm just gonna hold my cat in his box now. This is another different backdrop layout. I'm actually on my husband's desk, and this is my desk, which is why it's chaos. So, we're gonna change directions every once in a while. God, you shed so much. Thank you for making it to the end of this video. I appreciate all your guys' support. Thank you for getting it this far, and yeah, I hope you liked it. And leave a comment about, like, what books exceeded your expectations and what books didn't. I'd love to know your guys' opinion on some of these books and your own. So, thank you so much. Alright, get out, kid. I'm outie.